Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much to the Hong Kong Design Center for the invitation. The city of Barcelona has a great relation with the city of Hong Kong, with the government of Hong Kong, and now we are collaborating in several initiatives. And I would like to take this opportunity to explain what we are doing in order to change our city, and in fact to try to change what means a city in the 21st century. Because as Richard said before, he was mentioning, in fact, maybe a picture like this, we live in a world of cities. And this is something completely new, because we have been all the history of humanity building our living environment. When I was a student of architecture, we were studying the modern architects that were defining what a city should be. And we were always working on a place that was agricultural land or was an open land in order to make a city. But what happened is that the cities are already done. We live in a world of cities that are already done, and our big challenge is to know what should be next, what we should be doing with our cities once they are already built. I will explain you a short history about Barcelona. Barcelona is a city that is 2,000 years old. It was founded by the Romans. Some Roman soldiers came to the Mediterranean, and we say that at that moment they created the Barcelona 1.0, the first version of Barcelona that had a Roman wall. We were with that wall during more than 1,000 years, and we built a second wall, the Christian wall, in the Middle Age, that is the Barcelona 2.0. We had that wall during 400 years or 500 years, and then you will see the picture, we decided to pull it down in order to extend our cities. And we had a plan that we have been developing the last 150 years. And now the question is, as you saw in the picture, previous picture, the city is already built, and we need to plan what is the Barcelona 5.0. You see that there is a speed of acceleration of transformations connected with the history of technology, etc. So this is the Barcelona 1.0, the Roman city. That, as you can see, the Roman city is here, and some people in the Middle Age built that wall. And this is the situation at the middle of 19th century. We have the city, the wall, and this free area around. And at that moment was the crucial moment when the cities were, in fact, invented in a rational way. There was an engineer called Cerdà that invented the word urbanism in Barcelona at that time, because he saw this technological revolution. He saw the steam train, and he said, mobility is going to change the way the people live. And he made a plan for the city of Barcelona that he multiplied 10 times the surface, and what he did was a very democratical approach where everyone should have, every building should have a street in front of them and should have a green area in the backyard. And what is crucial, he introduced all this technology like the water supply, the switches, the lighting in the streets, trees, segregation on, let's say, cars with horses, no cars at that moment, and transportation. So we have been, in fact, using that section during the whole 20th century, and most of our cities are still like this. The only new thing that we are adding here is the fiber optic. At that moment, they didn't have internet. So we have been building all Barcelona during the 20th century. In fact, we are still building the Sagrada Familia. We hope will be finished in 15 years. But there was another technological revolution that were related with cars. Every technology has a way of living associated with it. And then associated with cars that were mostly developed in America, they invented a new way of living that was the suburbs. The idea that everyone should have its own house, and then a car could bring you to any individual place. Obviously, now we understand that this is not a good way. It's impossible that everyone in the planet will live in this way. And we see that cities, dense cities, compact cities, are the most efficient machines people has ever invented. But we have another technological revolution that was computers, as Richard was explaining before. And the question is that, in fact, internet has changed our life, but it hasn't changed our cities yet. So we work in a different way, we live in a different way, but in fact, our cities are very similar to the cities that we had just 15 years ago. And then the challenge, as I say, this was agricultural land 100 years ago, and now we have a city. This was a rock 100 years ago, and now you have one of the dense and fantastic cities in the world. So the question is how we can keep adding value to our city. If we don't add value to a system, it will collapse. So the question is how we can add value to the city. So that's why in Barcelona, we invented the word urbanism. We have been always thinking about our future and the futures of cities. So the previous chief architects have been thinking about how to transform our city. So that's why we came with a new mantra in order to build the Barcelona 5.0. We say that Barcelona will be a self-sufficient city created with productive neighborhoods at human speed inside a hyper-connected zero-emissions metropolis. So we want to mix the best of the slow cities and the smart cities. We want to build metropolis of neighborhoods. But the question is that the cities that has been expulsing everything that was productive, the industry came to China, the energy went to nuclear plants, the agriculture production went to South America or whatever. Now we see that we are just consuming what someone else is producing. Cities are transforming goods into rubbish. And we should change it. In order to reinvent cities, we need to reinvent productivity. We need to transform our neighborhoods, but making them able to produce things. And so this is the diagram of how we will live. In this internet era, in the age of communication, the question is that we are not anymore workers and consumers, as the industrial economy was defining. We are inventors and people that share our knowledge and share our economy. So that means that every person should be able to produce nearly everything in his own environment. That means that we should be able to make our energy, our things, and our food in our environment, and obviously will be connected with the wall, to the wall, in the economy, the social, and the knowledge. So that means we need to develop a connected self-sufficiency. And the model that we are going to build is this. If each of us, we are able to make things, not to talk, as I am doing. Normally I am working, breaking streets in order to repaving or whatever. So we'll be able, in fact, to create a wall of, let's say, people that are able to make things, real things, and they are connected in a free way. So this is the same image of a brain, is the image of a network. It's not a centralized model, it's a decentralized model. So based in this decentralized model that is using our knowledge, in this knowledge economy, what we need to do is to use our knowledge in order to make energy, things, food, in order to talk with people, in order to be connected to the world. So we'll be creating a structure of the world like this. And I will show you how we are doing these three things that are crucial for our city. So we are moving from a centralized system that has, today, we should have like a nuclear plant here providing cities, to a decentralized model That means that we'll be making energy in each of our buildings, and we'll making networks of energy in our cities. So we'll be creating, retrofitting our cities, putting solar panels, making laboratories of fabrication, creating urban agriculture, and using our electrical cars as battery to store energy. If we do this with our blocks, we'll do this with our neighborhoods. So that means that we'll be able to make the Internet of Energy. We'll be able to create a model that is following the model of Internet. In order, Internet, everyone is producing things and sharing things. So this is what is going to happen with everything. And the place where it should happen in relation with energy is in the place where we consume it. That means cities. In order to do this, we need to use design. A solar building is not a building with solar panels in the roof. It's something else. It's something more. It should be beautiful. We should understand why it's like this. I mean, the Bauhaus and the modern design, they say, form follows function. Now we say form follows energy. And this is how the nature has been working during millions of years. Trees are machines of producing energy, taking, let's say, energy from sun and using it in order to create trees and in order to live. So that means that our buildings, this is a solar house, the first solar house we fabricate in Barcelona using flexible solar panels in order to create let's say, a livable place. With, we were elevating the house in order to use also the shadow in order to have a natural ventilation, air with good quality. We did a second experiment, a second solar house that is in Barcelona right now, where we were integrating windows with solar panels, etc. So that means that we need to introduce design into every project that we do. Things should be beautiful. We should be trying to integrate all of this. This is not beautiful, but this is incredible smart. This is incredible. You know, Barcelona today, we take all the trash that we have, we bring all our trash to this place, we burn all the trash in this place, and we produce all the energy that we need in order to illuminate all our streets. So that means that Barcelona is self-sufficient from the point of view of energy in order to run, to illuminate our streets. And obviously, we need to do major changes in order to be able to produce all the energy for our buildings and for our cars. But that means that we need a plan. Obviously, we need a vision, but we need a plan in order to develop it. We also have a central heating system. This plan also provides hot water for offices in Barcelona. The second thing we need to be able is to produce things. Barcelona was an industrial city. So you see here, red is housing, blue is industry. We were mixing in a very good, let's say, equilibrium is 50-50, nearly 50-50, housing and industry. But following this process that we had, I mean, this theory that the first cities in the world should be only designing people with computers connected to the wall or whatever, and fabrication should happen in some other places, the result is that we are not making anything, only trash. So, well, we make few things. For example, we have still a Nissan, a Japanese factory in Barcelona. We are producing electrical cars, and in fact, we are producing the electrical taxi of New York. Electrical taxi of New York, well, it's funny because it's produced in Barcelona. It's this model of Nissan. But this is not exactly the future. This is the future. The future is that everyone should be able to make everything in any place in the world. Obviously, if you have the right machine and you have the knowledge that must be shared with other people in order to produce things. So this is a 3D printed bicycle. And this is the way we are going. The industry will be like this. Richard said before, we are at the beginning of something new, and this something new doesn't make sense that we make a huge factory that is able to make only one thing. This is exactly the crisis that we have in the year 2007. Detroit was collapsed. Yesterday was announced the Detroit City Council present a failure. Why? Because they were only able to make one thing, make the same car, and they were promoting that all of us, we were buying the cars because the industry and the economy should run. So the industrial economy, we should be consumers of what the industry was producing, otherwise it will collapse. And this is part of the problem we have in our cities today. I mean, we need to solve mobility, as you will see later. The problem is mobility. And the solution is not buying cars, it's offering you public transportation, sharing bikes, sharing cars, etc. So we are building a platform. This is what our students used to do, is to invent machines that were able to make nearly everything. And we have also experience with kids. In fact, this is my son, Leon, with his friend. I found him, I brought to my institute one day, and then I saw he was fabricating a skateboard. And I said, well, what are you doing? I'm doing a skateboard. Well, that's great. I would like to buy it. And he said, no, I can't sell you. And I said, why? And he said, because it's mine. But what do you mean? I did it. So today, the question is that the industrial model create a system that, we were buying products, but we didn't buy the knowledge about how to make products. We can buy in IKEA things, it's cheap, it's okay. You will come back because you don't know how to make a chair or how to make a table. But once one kid is able to make a skateboard, he can do nearly everything. He knows how to use a laser cutter, a 3D printer, a CNC machine. He engraved his name over here. So what we need to do with knowledge is to create the freedom. It's to have a good differentiation between value and price. You should, in many cases, it's more interesting to pay more in order to have the knowledge. Or I will say another way, maybe the cost of this was higher. He spent maybe 5 hours or 10 hours, it doesn't matter. But he has more with himself, that is the skateboard and the knowledge to do it. And for sure, this is the future for design. Design is about not only making a beautiful form, it's about how to make things, real things. And the industry will be yourself, will be ourselves, will be our friends with a small community. Streets in Hong Kong will be filled with part of this industry that will be about making things in every city. So in the city of Barcelona, we brought some of these ideas at the government level, and now we are creating a network of laboratories of fabrication where young people are making their own 3D printer, and they are able to fabricate things. HP invented a 3D printer that costs $20,000 to print whatever small things. But then with these machines that cost maybe $800, you can do nearly the same thing. So that means that the question is not only to design things with the machine, but even to design the machine that will be able to do nearly everything. We were creating a group of people. This is our former institute where really was a crossing place, was an informal place where people were printing, cutting, even kissing each other. So in a city, you can do from a computer to a house. And our plan is to, from the municipal point of view, city point of view, to have a laboratory fabrication in every district in the same way that we have a library or we have a market. These places where people can invent and make things should be open to everyone. And obviously, the third question is the food. Food is what we have been producing around our cities all the history. Now we abandon most of this land, we urbanize all this land, but we are working on bringing back agriculture near the city and also using urban orchards in our buildings, but also in the top roofs of our buildings. Obviously, from the food point of view, you must analyze your city in a broader vision. But what is important is to create the network of delivery of these structures to the city. So this is the structure of our city markets in Barcelona. This is, in fact, this could be the structure of any good city in the future, where you can see hot spots along all the city, and the connection of all these hot spots create the network of the city itself. In an American model, we should have a shopping mall here, another shopping mall there, another shopping mall over there, and that's all. But let's say the city-oriented, let's say, economy is based in decentralization, in the same way that internet is based in the decentralization, and the chain of food providing, the idea of living here, working here, and buying here is the right model for the cities in the future. The wrong model was the modern system where we had, for example, factories here and then housing here. And then the people say, my city is collapsed, the traffic is collapsed. Yeah, it's normal. I mean, everyone is moving all the day from one side to the other. The cities are not well organized, or the cities are well organized for a model where we were few people. Now that we are many more people, we need to rethink how we live. So the question is not to add more technology to an old system, but is to rethink the system itself. So that's why I came with 8 principles to make a self-sufficient city, not from the, let's say, conceptual point of view, but from a very practical point of view. The first point is that every city should define its own mantra. You should understand what is your city. I was doing this diagram because some people come to Barcelona and they say, oh, sometimes Barcelona look like Paris, sometimes look like Florence, sometimes look like New York. How is this possible? I mean, we have been 2,000 years building our city. And this is the history of architecture. You see up here from the Egypt, Rome, etc. We don't have Egyptian architecture in Barcelona, and we don't have Greek architecture, but we have Roman, we have a good Gothic, a fantastic Gothic, and we have part of the city that looked like Florence because it was built at the same time as Florence. Barcelona was one of the most important capitals in the Mediterranean, and we have been all the history of architecture. We built the 19th century modern grid with Gaudí. We have the Mies van der Rohe pavilion, and we are developing now neighborhoods like the 22@. So our history is based in diversity, based in hybridation, and this is what we want to do. So that's why we say we need to follow all this history, and my mission is to be able to build something here in order to continue to this long story. Each of your cities, you should be seeing which is your model. So this idea of hybridation, the idea that this is our technological park. The technological park is inside the city. It's near Sagrada Familia, it's near Plaza de las Glorias. It's a place that is really very dense. Barcelona is a very dense city, and that's why we say we need to transform with this idea of being able to produce energy. This building is not producing anything. I mean, it's good, it's a residential building, but it's consuming energy that is producing a nuclear plant. In 20 years, it should be self-sufficient by producing energy and connected to other buildings in the neighborhood. The second question is you should analyze the structure of your city and you define your priorities. So that's why we came with this diagram. When I entered in the city council, I was asking the people, how many departments of infrastructure we have? They say 10. And I said, but how many infrastructure we have? And the others say 5. So even in our organization, we are not able to clarify which is, I mean, if you see this, you say, this is a city. Okay, but which are the parts? Imagine that this is a human body. Which are the different parts of a city? So if you ask a doctor in Hong Kong, Barcelona, and Abu Dhabi, to define the anatomy of a city, of a person, everyone will say the same parts, the bones, the hair, etc. But if you are an architect in these different cities to describe the anatomy of the city, each of them will say something different. So it's impossible that we try to apply technology to the city. I mean, if you imagine what is biotechnology, that is connecting computation with, let's say, medicine, if we try to apply computation to a city that we are not able to clarify, which is the anatomy, will be a disaster. That this is more or less what is happening. So that's why we came with that diagram that we say that every city in the world is exactly like this. You can divide in a, let's say, anatomical way with the first layer that is the environment that was here before the city itself. There are 6 and only 6 infrastructures: information, water cycle, energy, matter cycle, mobility, and nature. You have the build domain that goes from your bed, your house, your building, your block, your neighborhood, your district, your city, your metropolis, your country, and your planet. So that means that there is a multi-scalar approach. You can do urbanism by working in all your houses, not working at the scale of the city. So this is the anatomical part. The second part is the society, where we have here all the people in the city. Here is the mayor, that is one of us, and the government. So we have the government and the society, and we have companies and organizations, etc. And we have the functions or services connected with people that are health, education, sports, etc. That this is related with people. If we want to make buildings for education, then it's here we make a school, etc. And the third layer that we have is the information layer that has many different forms. For example, economy is an information layer. If you go to a forest and you ask which is the currency of the forest, they are not using Hong Kong dollars. The monkeys are not using Hong Kong dollars or euros. They are using energy as a currency. So that means that economy is a kind of information, is something that we define or we organize in order to define the interaction within all the system. So I have a video, but you can look for that video in cityprotocol.org. I will say you later. So we are going to not to present the video because we don't have time. But what I want to say is that once you analyze which your city, you should choose what are you going to do next. And you should decide if you are going to make housing, you are going to work on the public space, you are going to promote more education in the people, or you are going to deal with the water system. So you can do many things at the same time, but not everything at the same time. So that means that from the design point of view, from the management point of view, you need to choose what you want to do. Rethink your system and not just upgrade it. I mean, this is very clear in Barcelona. We have a bus system in Barcelona. This is our bus system. And as I explained yesterday, I never take the bus. It's impossible to take a bus. I mean, every time I go to take a bus, I am afraid I will be lost, no? How can I go from one place to another place? I mean, it's an spaghetti model. It's impossible to understand. Tourists never take the bus in Barcelona. So that's why something, well, there were many companies saying, I will put you a sensor. So the people will send you an SMS, and then you receive the SMS. But for what? I mean, which kind of SMS? I cannot understand. So there was some stupid guy in the corner. He said, well, Barcelona is like a grid. Why don't we make a system of buses that are like a grid? We make some vertical lines, some horizontal lines, and at the end, we'll have a system that everyone will know if you are here and you want to go anywhere, you can take a vertical line and then an horizontal line, and you will arrive there. So this very simple thing, we are already started the transformation. We are changing gradually because there are, here there are an old person that is taking the same bus in the last 50 years. The driver is the same in the last 50 years. I mean, they are like a kind of family, but it's the Ramblas. It's the Ramblas for the city. So obviously, there is a social background that you need to manage. It's not only about the city system, it's about the people and how the people use it. The first lines are a great experiment. The amount of people is using the public bus is increasing gradually. And the other question is, we are buying BYD, that is here in Shenzhen, full electrical bus. So we'll have our grid as electrical bus in the next 10 years ready. So we are changing completely our bus system. Obviously, you need to develop the economy of city services with partners. Richard was talking before about city services. This is Rambla, Catalonia, one of the most beautiful promenades. When I was a student of architecture, I saw they were using asphalt in the street. I thought, well, what are people in Barcelona? They are using asphalt as a simple element in front of very beautiful buildings with great trees. But the biggest revolution they did in this place was to make the crosswalk in the street. They changed all the city in the year 92 with only one drawing, because we decide that every crossroad should be able for handicapped people, should have a trash here, should have a light in the other side. Here we use only 3 pieces of granite. We have only 1 piece here, and then every time we repeat this on a street, we use this design for all the city. So this generates a very clear uniformity and order about how to make the public space. But now we are talking about to put sensors, to have sensors to control the light, the noise, the traffic, and the question is how we are going to make this system of sensors in the street. And people say, well, you could put a Wi-Fi system in the canopy of a bus stop, or you can put in a kiosk or whatever. So everyone was proposing something different. And what we say is, we should put together the designers and the people from the technology. Because the people from technology, now we have a lot of companies, IBM, Cisco, Microsoft, trying to make things in the cities. And in fact, in general, they don't know anything about cities. Not in general. I mean, they really nearly doesn't know anything about cities, and they see that, I mean, if internet must change the cities, they are internet, they need to be there. And well, we decide to put all the, but they don't know how to make a project. You say, make a project, and they make a PowerPoint. It's incredible. I mean, a PowerPoint is not a project. A project is a box. I mean, you need to have a black box with a label, and you must sign. So must have the responsibility for this. Okay, we put all these people together. We ask them to put everything we should put in the street, and they put in a table all of this. So the designers arrive and say, oh, we should put this in a light post. And they say, yes. Including the telephone? They say, no, the telephone was here before. Not the telephone. Okay, so they start to think how to do it, because normally we do in a raw wall. If you see your street in general, it's full of cameras, sensors, whatever. So what we did was to do a plan. I say, we need to make only one drawing. Remember the guys in the 92? We need to solve this with only one drawing. So that's why they make that drawing that designed this kind of, in this place called Elborn, we put all these elements with this T-shirt. This is a plastic T-shirt that inside this, we have Wi-Fi. You see a camera, you have a sensor of sound, and then every sensors in the street are connected to this. Light post has other elements like this. That means in 10 years, we'll be able to have Wi-Fi free in all the city, and we'll be able to have any sensor that we have connected to this place, and then it will be more or less invisible. It will be part of our, let's say, well-designed environment. We did this, the first test was here in the most historical place of Barcelona. This is a new place that we just opened. It's a fantastic place called Elborn, where you can see the city of 1714, and you can see this old market. And so this idea that, again, remember the drawing of the history, Here we are mixing history and we are putting technology for the future. We are also developing a smart city campus with companies like Cisco that we are really collaborating very well as Microsoft or IBM or many other companies. And with them, we are developing the city operation system. I remember the debate about Apple, Mac, or Microsoft, or Windows, Intel versus PowerPC, etc. So these, or Beta versus VHS, this should not happen with cities, because cities will have an operation system, and we should, I mean, Barcelona should not be an IBM city and Hong Kong GDF and Paris whatever. We should try to define what is the operation system for a city that in fact will be taking information from sensors, making a manipulation of this information, and producing applications and open data for all citizens. We should really work in this, let's say, information layer for the city. Resilience, I mean, another crucial word. I mean, in many cases, we need to avoid disasters that you can avoid. But in order to do so, you need to spend money in general in places that you don't see them. You don't see the money. So in Barcelona, it doesn't rain too much. But when it rains a lot. And this is a problem. Because when it rains a lot. This was like 30 years ago. When I arrived to Barcelona, in La Ramblas, every time it was raining up in the hill, it was exploding, and the streets were full of water. So someone was doing analysis about where was it raining, where the water was passing through, and we make a plan in order to change the peak of the water, and the solution was to make huge water tanks that should be void until the day it rains. So it's the most stupid construction ever made, because it's not used in any moment except 5 days during the year. And we decided to invest like 500 million euros 20 years ago. So I mean, my God, it's something incredible. Well, I have a good news. We did it. So the biggest building in Barcelona is not La Sagrada Familia. The biggest buildings are underground. And if you visit the city, you will not see it. But they are like this, waiting for a strong storm. And then what this will happen, it will be filled, and then we'll send in the water to the sea slower. So that means that in many cases, you need to invest money. This is the final structure with all the water tanks and the two depuration water system. You will spend water in places that you don't see. I mean, build a livable city is very clear. This is the place we were looking before. In the year 92, even the year 92, we built a highway here in the middle. But the plan for this square, that is where the diagonal, Gran Via, and parallel they meet, is to make a big square. But you know, that night, Cerdà was wrong. He didn't sleep very well, and he designed the square rotated. So that's why we have not been able to build that place, because it's so complicated that no one was able to make it in the last 100 years, and that's why we make, in fact, this highway. So we decide to try to finish the project in the right way. We are pulling down the highway, and we are creating a new center. It was dreamed by Cerdà as a park, as just a pedestrian space with tunnels instead of highways. And I say this in the city that is full of highways, elevated highways. So we are pulling down our highways, and we want to start to transform our city, reducing 30% of our mobility of individual cars, and winning space for the citizens. So right now, this is like this, and in 1 year, if you go to Barcelona, you will be able to see this. We are pulling down the highway. We are also covering big infrastructures with parks. So all of this is a combination of infrastructures and design. And how we were able to do this, why we are able to do this. Because this drawing is not theoretical drawing. This is literally the new department we have created in Barcelona that includes the people from the environment, the people from infrastructure, the people from urbanism, and the people from technology. You see, they are biologists, the other are civil engineers, the other are architects, and the other are telecos engineers. Incredible, impossible to talk. I mean, normally everyone is fighting, I want to put a tree, I want to put on a street, let's put a sensor. I mean, how to manage the budget of this, how to manage this. So that's why the new mayor decided to create a department that we call Urban Habitat, that is under the direction of Mr. Antoni Vives, that will be here next week in Barcelona. I invite you to go to the Biennale of Architecture, that in the main line will have a big screen with a new pavilion under the highway. And he will be presenting projects for Barcelona following this vision, where we put together environment, urbanism, infrastructures, and technology of information. And the last thing is that we should work together. I mean, if we work alone, it will be impossible. We are not a country. Barcelona is not a country. I mean, cities must work together in order to be able to define standards and to make the industry to follow us. We should not try, I mean, in general, we buy what the industry wants to sell us, because the only thing that they offer to us. But we should be able to define the standard that we want to our cities. If we want electrical cars, we want now. If we want electrical trucks to pick the trash in the street, we should order now. If we want operation systems that allow applications from different cities to move to one another, we should do it now. The industry in general will try to sell what they have, but we should do, as you can see here, this is Barcelona, but the streets of Barcelona are connected with the streets of Amsterdam and the streets of Paris. We live in a planet where cities, we live in a world of cities, but the cities must be connected, must share knowledge, and must work together in order to define standards. So that's why we create the City Protocol Society, the idea that we use the same system that the engineers from internet they use in order to create the standards. They talk and they make agreements, and these become standards. So we should define the standard for cities for the next years, so you can visit the webpage and try to join in order to work together. And this is my last picture, that is, in fact, because we work together, Hutchinson, that is a company from Hong Kong, make an important investment in the harbor of Barcelona, and now maybe this container was in Hong Kong and now is in Barcelona. So we have a harbor that is sharing boats, is sharing containers, and what we would like to say from the city of Barcelona, we would like to share our ideas and experience with all of you. And obviously, we would like to learn from all of you, so you are more than welcome to Barcelona. Thank you.
Vicente, thank you very much indeed. That was truly amazing. The entire 2,500-year history of Barcelona in 40 minutes. A brilliant achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. We have time for a couple of questions before we take a break. Do we have any questions from the floor, please? Anybody out there who would like to put a question to Vicente? While you're thinking about that, perhaps I will throw one to you straight away. And that was actually your second last point on the slide of principles.
Yes.
And it was about breaking silos.
Yeah.
Please, could you tell us the secret of how you achieved that?
There are many secrets. The first one, someone must take the decision. I mean, the government is like the army. We have a general that takes decisions, and in general, politicians are afraid about taking decisions. We are lucky because we have a great mayor that he entered to the government and he said, we should change our organization in order to be more efficient. In moment of crisis, you need to reinvent yourself. So that's why he decided to put together all these let's say, departments. But obviously, the people that used to be only with the budget for green and the people for streets, I will tell you a secret. In Barcelona, we have 2 books about furniture for the public space. One is created by the Department of Maintenance, and the other for the Department of Design. And they were not talking to each other. So we decided that they should talk. I mean, it was very hard the first half an hour. You did that, oh, you did that. But then after some time, I mean, now when we have meetings, it's really incredible. We have the computer engineers, the people from the green department, and the architects all working together. So that's why we were able to make very fast this design that integrate what is a project. The designer doesn't know anything about sensors, and the people from the technology doesn't know anything about design. So we are really integrating teams. You need to have a decision in the upper level, but then the people in the lower level must be believers, and really you need to do a good management in order to integrate all those teams.
Thank you. Any questions from the floor?
My question is, you have been describing 2,500 years development for Barcelona, but you take into account a European system where architecture is made out of solid materials, stones, bricks, whatever. Asia is different. Here they use natural material, wood, like that. So old means same thing, but probably redone many times because gone on fire and built again the same. Following this, you see Hong Kong. Hong Kong, you might have seen some pictures of Hong Kong even only 10 years ago. I don't want to mention 100 years ago. It's a completely different planet. So could you give us a comment on this opposite scheme of growth for a city?
Thank you for the question. Today I was visiting the technological park, and I saw also a different urban fabric, very different to downtown Hong Kong. We are doing a study. Again, we don't have an anatomy, but we don't have a book on the urban species. So that means that we don't know how many different urban fabrics we have around the world. We are counting them, and it will be around, the basic one will be around 50, let's say. So that means that there are cities that are similar to other cities, and when you try to do a transformation, obviously you can learn from what other cities are doing. But obviously what you should be learning is the wrong things that other cities did before. Imagine that a doctor makes someone a chirurgical operation and he cut something in the wrong way and he died. I mean, the next doctor will never do the same. But about cities, we are repeating and repeating the same mistakes. That's incredible. We are completely stupid. No, it should be illegal. The same mistakes we did in America or in Europe or whatever, that maybe right now is done in Africa or in some neighborhoods in Barcelona itself. So that means that, first of all, I like diversity. I think that the density in Hong Kong is one of the most incredible cities in the world. Yesterday I was talking, I mean, if you follow some of the principles of what we try to do, today I was driving in a highway that is just between the waterfront and the city. There is exactly the same highway in Rio de Janeiro. Now they have the Olympic Games. Maybe you can find the video where they decide to pull it down. In Barcelona, we are pulling down our highway, and there are some workers like this, clack, 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 one day will disappear. But in Rio, they did it best. They put some dynamite, and they boom, boom, fell. You can find the video. This happened like 10 days ago. It's true. I mean, so that means that maybe this will happen here. If the problem is this, in general, we never invest the right amount of money to do the right project. We can do it cheaper. But this was the industrial model, the old model. The old model was to build cheap, to sell expensive, and run away. This is the traditional industrial or developer's model. I will buy cheap, I will make something, I will look luxury, I will sell, and I will do something else. This is what's happened in many cases with infrastructures. We were thinking more about the cars. Someone was selling a car, you should make a highway, we did a highway, and now we have the cars and the highway, and we don't see the sea. I was looking to the windows of the people that had the highway. I mean, they had the sea, but they had the highway in between. So that means, from my point of view, the problem is not the density about buildings. Problem is, in Hong Kong, the way you organize mobility, the way you organize, in fact, it's very clear. Technological park doesn't have housing. That means housing in some other place. People must be moving. It's true you have a great train transportation or metro, but this functional organization means that the people are moving every day and you need a lot of infrastructures. Again, we need to add value to cities. Hong Kong is not over. I mean, in 100 years, Hong Kong will be here. So that means that you need to invest in the right way in order to have the right city in 100 years. So even in 10 years. I hope to come here and maybe to see some tunnels and not so many highways. But what I mean is that, from my point of view, downtown Hong Kong is a great place. Even the idea that we live in a dense city, from my point of view, is better than not living in the sprawl. I love Las Vegas, not because the casinos, but because they don't have periphery. The periphery is the desert. So the street finish, you have the desert. The worst thing in cities are peripheries. The cities are growing, and then you have periphery. So from that point of view, I think that Hong Kong is a great city. It was said before, full of great people, creativity, etc. Density generates interaction. Bars generate ideas. You can meet people. You can invent things together. And based on that, I think it's a great place. Maybe the question is to deal with infrastructures.
Vicente, thank you very much. Just one last point, I think, following on from your comment. I don't know whether this statement was apocryphal or not, but many years ago it is said that somebody asked a young child in Hong Kong whether he thought Hong Kong was a great city or not. Did he like the city? What did he think about it? And his answer was very simple. His answer was, I think it'll be very nice when it's finished. Vicente, thank you very much indeed for giving us your talk today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.